What is up, responsible day traders? Today's actually Sunday, March 20th, 2022. I'm Lindsay Duff, and this is Responsible Day Trading. So today I wanted to try something just a little bit different. I'm still going to have this video come out on Monday, and I'm probably going to do a little closeout to it Monday morning. But I'm thinking maybe this will help me utilize my time just a little bit better because not a whole lot of information changes overnight, but it may. So that's why I want to come back and just do a slight recap Monday morning and then finish it off and get things out a little bit earlier than usual. So let's go ahead and check out the news for the week. All right, so let's head on over to responsibledaytrading.com. We're going to drop this down here and we're going to go to market news so we can see what we got going on. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. or this morning, we're going to see a speaker at 9 a.m. So we'll see Powell speak at 9 a.m. and that can sometimes move the market. So we just want to be aware of that. Tuesday, we have no news. Wednesday, once again, 7 a.m. It'll be before the market opens. So that may or may not move the market. We do have a few things that are going to be happening after the market opens. So 30 minutes after and an hour after, just being aware that it might have a little bit of a jolt from that. Thursday, all pre-market. Friday, 9 a.m. So 30 minutes after the market opens, we'll have some news running there. As always, if you want to see some different volatility, all you have to do is go up here to filters and switch it up to where you want to be. Let's go ahead and see what the market has for us. So what I want to start out with here is our daily chart. We're going to be checking out this chart right here. I have been watching this and it's been really, really interesting. We can see how that BB rolled outside and it looked like it was going to pop down with strength, but we couldn't even break this area where we had made this nice strong reverse bar previously. And now it looks like they're trying to do somewhat of a W pivot. If we're going to do a W pivot, we don't have far to go to that last little leg of it, but maybe we'll see this come all the way back up to where this high was. I don't know. Technically, our direction is still to the downside. We are below we're below the zero line. We haven't made it back below the EMAs, but we haven't really gotten above them either. And what I mean by that is that we haven't broken back above and pulled away from them, which is what we'd really like to see. So here we tried to pull away from them. We never got any higher on this second pivot. The MACDs were leading lower. Great sign with these EMAs crossing over that it was going to go down. So now what we have to look at is we have to look at this strength coming up at the zero line. This strength coming up at the zero line could shift overnight and these BBs could get closer together. It could roll down and pull back down towards the EMAs, which if it does, at that time, I'm still expecting a little bit of divergence, maybe roll inside off of the bottom Bollinger Band and push up. This area that we drew back in like July has just been holding like a charm. And so we're really struggling to get back below it. We did get a little bit back below this last major low that we had, but I wouldn't really say we pulled away from it. What we want to see is these nice long closes pulling away from this area, possibly even back into it when we expect it to continue down. We're not seeing that. We're seeing that divergences have held and then it's pushed the market back to the upside. So it's going to be really, really, I always find this so interesting to watch. Like, are we going to see this finally break through, move back up? I mean, people get so excited about bad news and we can see it pushes down very easily, very quickly. And then it tends to take a little bit more time to crawl back up. But that's just the nature of it. But yeah, pulled right back into these EMAs. You can see I drew a little circle there as we were looking to come back to this area and we pulled back to it, exceeded it, those MACDs, popped that top Bollinger Band, beautiful move to the upside. So let's go ahead and look at the 28,657, which is this chart that we can see right here. 28,657's got some interesting things going on. Okay, so what we see here is we had, and I'm going to just draw us a line here. We had the price just really moving to the upside, but this is what we got out of the MACDs. We had divergence here. It pulled back. Well, now we've got some divergence with some really, really light white BBs happening here. And with the break back inside of the Bollinger Bands that we're seeing at this point, this might be a breaking point that pushes us back to the downside. The MACDs did get at a pretty decent high point up here, and it's really tough to see them pushing back through there. So what we see in instances like this tends to be something along the lines of we see it pull back, maybe rest off of this bottom Bollinger Band, or even come back in stronger and come back towards the zero line like we saw happen right in here. And if we see that strength and it come back towards the zero line, we still have a very strong move to the upside in the EMAs to say it may struggle to really get back through both of these EMAs and continue pushing down. So, we have to anticipate the pullbacks, and that's what's happening right in here. We're seeing this nice long, and what I really loved about this, because I looked at it just a while ago, is this nice hard close up, hard close down potential. It was like this nice little peak. We got these white BBs. They couldn't really punch up much higher, and they gave us that snap back into the Bollinger Band. And as it's snapping back into the Bollinger Band, that price bar has just pushed down really, really hard. So personally, I'm going to anticipate it to, at the very least, come back into this area where we held prior, pulled through, pushed back into it slightly, but I'm expecting to see a much more decent pullback. If it goes back any further, we may see it come back here. Now, if it does come back towards this area, this EMA is going to keep going up. So I'm actually going to anticipate it to happen more around this line that held here. And that may be a little hard to see because I make them very, very light on purpose. But there is the support area that held right here. And, mind you, I drew these support and resistance areas months ago whenever we saw areas that it pulled off of and bounced off of before. And you can see it pulled up to it right here. It pulled up to it right here, came through right back into it. So not that it's like the strongest area of support / resistance, but it's a great area to anticipate this to pull back to. And by the time this maybe makes it back here, this EMA is going to come up to kind of greet those. It's not just going to turn immediately because this is that bigger EMA that's really looking at a lot more bars back. And those bars back are still saying, hey, we had a nice, really decent move to the upside. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap that up. Tomorrow, probably what I'll do is take a quick peek at this, just give another evaluation of where we're at and what we can expect in the bigger move for the day and continue from there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at what's happening in the much quicker portion of the market right now, which will definitely not be the same by the morning time. So if I'm looking at my 10,946, we have seen divergence happen here. We can see we had these white peaks, one of these really great indicators that this area was going to push back down. When I saw the close higher, even though it closed higher here, it was really hard to anticipate it to continue up when you look down and you see that the BB couldn't even reach the top Bollinger Band, much less cross it. Now, we did see something very similar that happened right back here, just crossed it a little bit. So with that, I'm actually anticipating a deeper pullback because it couldn't even cross that top Bollinger Band, and both of these peaks were that white color. So I'm really expecting this to give a deeper pullback than just right here. It may stop right there on a dime. You can see how many times we've pulled up to this EMA and just stopped right in this area and bounced back off of it. So it could definitely happen again. It could come down with some strength, hang out around here for a little bit before it goes up. But that is why we evaluate it as we see it happening. Is it going to push down? Where are our next areas that we can anticipate that bounce if it continues down? So as I'm looking at the 1597, obviously currently the direction is down on the 1597. As we've gotten below the zero line, below the EMAs, same thing is going on with the 233. The 233 is trying to show a potential for a slowdown and a turnaround with seeing these couple of divergences that are happening here. If this pops up and moves to the upside here, I'm going to at the very least expect it to pull back right into this area, as we can see it's attempting to do right now. Now these are still showing strength down, and this is showing a lot of strength down. So it's really hard to expect this divergence to turn the market around and push it back above these EMAs and continue up from there. I think we still have some strength pulling down. So I think we may see the pullback here, but just see it push down a little bit further. We really want to see these BBs do more than just bunch up together, because bunching up together does not necessarily mean that it is done for. Bunching up together just means it might be picking up the pace to push down. We want to see it get inside, show reasons to move back towards that next EMA, possibly get back up there and get back above the zero line and the EMAs to anticipate this to continue up. Now, like I said, that could definitely happen overnight. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this baby to rest for right now. Sometimes I trade at night. Definitely not into it tonight. We're going to put this baby to rest right now, and we're going to come back in the morning. So I just wanted to come back shortly to where I left off last night, and you can see where we drew this line first, or this circle. I drew this line where I left off, but I drew this circle where I was anticipating our first area of risk to be, and you can see it came right to it. So it touched it, bounced off of it. Now, is this area gonna hold is the question. Now we can see the MACDs are really trying to still point down, so there's a chance that it may not. Let's go ahead and go back and look at the bigger tick charts really quick before we wrap it up today. So let's start off with the daily chart. We can see, basically sitting at the same place. We've got a tiny little bar trying to form right here at the very end. It is tiny right now, but it's only 6 in the morning. So we have all day for this bar to form. According to the strength that we see in the MACDs here, it looks like it's going to try and continue up, but that will really be determined by what the rest of our charts say. Let's take another look at the 28,657. And here we go. All right, so obviously still have that divergence between the pivots here that push down. We reached our first area and we're sitting at the bottom Bollinger Band. So what we're going to have to see here, are we going to roll off that bottom Bollinger Band and go up maybe towards this top one, keep this divergence and push down? You know, the MACDs are at a pretty high pivot here, and we have some extremes that we see, and this is it. That's as extreme as it gets. So I'm not really anticipating this to push up and come up past this area. What I'm really still expecting is kind of what we were talking about last night, and that is for, I don't know why this closes up every time I do that, and that is for the MACDs to slow here, roll, push back down, and possibly head towards that next EMA. Remember last night how we were talking about the EMA down here, and I moved this area up just a little bit more. If it does come up, you know, we're going to anticipate where it's going to land because these are moving averages, right? So we're going to anticipate it to land right probably in this area where we have this other resistance / support area. So looking at the immediate though, if we come back here to the immediate, we see we are above the EMAs with strength to the upside. It just doesn't look like the MACDs are really trying to agree right now. For all of this pullback that happened right here, we still haven't even gotten a blue BB on the 10,946. Now, if we're looking at the 1597, the direction is really working to change its way up. We did pull away from the EMA here and here, but not really closing above the first area. So if these MACDs stay strong outside of the Bollinger Bands. My anticipations will be for the MACDs to come up towards this top Bollinger Band, roll and push to the downside. If they start to roll in and push up, then hey, we're probably going to push through here and continue up. But as I said earlier, it's probably going to be a little bit difficult. So we may see what happens if it pushes up and it reaches the area right around here where the last area of resistance was. So if it pulls up here, if it even makes it up there, because we already had an area kind of hold up right here, you can see, and I make these light on purpose, but you can see how there is a resistance area right here. So, I mean, right now we can see volume is really, really low. It's moved very, very slow. We haven't had much activity overnight. This is all that happened overnight. So it might be a good idea to let it kind of work itself out just a little bit. See if this area is going to hold. The MACDs are going to roll and push down, and then we're going to look for some low risk entries on our smallest tick chart when that does happen. And currently, it looks like it's still trying to push up. We had this nice little pullback into the EMAs, and the MACDs are pushing strong to the upside. So as we're reaching this area of this previous bar, are we going to pass it? And we can see right there, we're working on it. All right, guys, and this is why we wait till closer to the end of the bar to even consider taking the trades, because we do see it's trying to make that blue dot. Doesn't quite get there, but those are things we want to think about. This is why we have the countdown on the bars. This is why it turns red to let you know it's getting close to the end of the bar. So this is getting closer and closer to the end of the life of this bar. But, we can watch this BB. It's a live MACD BB dot, so it changes with the price. So if it changes, then we have to start changing the thought process that we originally had. And that is really what this is all about. When we're trading, we can't get stuck behind one single idea of what we anticipate to happen. If that does, we're constantly stuck in a long or a short bias, and we're not prepared for what could come our way. So keeping our minds and our eyes open as the MACDs shift and evolve, and as we shift into uptrends and downtrends throughout the day, if we keep our minds open and pay attention, then we can be prepared to take those moves when they happen. All right, guys. Well, it looks like the long move is starting to win out. So I know you can't see it, but I can. So we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. It is Monday morning. It is time to get this party started. So I hope everybody has a wonderful week. And as always, you know that I look forward to catching you on the profitable side.